All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Heather Morgan. I'm one of the speech pathologists here at the Childhood Apraxia and Speech Therapy Center. And I have Erin Porter with me. I met her a little bit ago, and I thought some other people might want to hear what she has to say. So, just a really quick overview of who she is and what the program she's offering for autistic children who are struggling. So, have a listen, let her know if you have any questions, and I hope you get some valuable information. I will pass it over to Erin.
Thanks, Heather. I am so excited to talk to you and parents and staff or whoever this little video reaches. Um, I want to address why children with autism who struggle seem unable to make progress with basic needs. And this can actually get in the way of the success of therapy. And I've had thousands of parents reach out to say that they've been doing therapy for years and it's not working. They love their therapists, the children love their therapy, but they're still struggling at home with eating, sleeping, self-help and independence, coping and behavior, and toileting. So, what I started to see as an educator, because I was a teacher for 30 years, is that children with autism aren't missing skills. They're missing the internal compass that allows them to access those skills. So, if this is the case, if you have a child who isn't progressing, or you have a child in front of you who's not progressing, I think that we need to work together to look in a different direction to help the child make the shift so that all of the therapy and all of their potential can be possible. Does that make sense? So let me explain with a metaphor. Okay. Um, all of us are wake up in the morning with what I call the cup. So I have a cup here, but it's my water glass. Um, yeah, exactly. Yours is full, mine is
Mine's full.
empty. But this
Mine's
is the
full.
metaphor. Actually, this is the metaphor. We all wake up in the morning with our cup full or empty, but it's at some level. The fuller your cup, the less capacity you have for, um, I don't know, stuff, right? So if you have an empty cup and you wake up in the morning, you have lots and lots of room for things to fill your cup before it spills over. If you wake up and your cup is already up here, you have very little capacity to get through the day without things spilling over. And what I'm finding is that parents with children with autism who struggle, they wake up, parents too, but the child wakes up with a full cup. And what ends up happening is that we end up managing the overflow rather than addressing why the cup never empties itself.
Hmm.
So I see parents taking their kids to school with a full cup. 30 years I saw that. I see parents taking their children to therapy with a full cup. So when they get to school or they get to the therapy room or they get to the class or they get to the park or they get to the grandma's house or they get to wherever, their cup is overflowing. So they cannot access academics. They cannot access social interactions. They cannot access the therapy that they're there for. So then, if we're always managing the overflow, we're never actually addressing what is underneath that, that is the root cause of why the child isn't progressing. That's where I come in. I help parents understand and help their child empty their cup. So when families come to me, it's usually because they're in crisis. There's overflow all the time. Even at therapy, there's overflow, right? There's meltdowns and stuff. Like a child falls asleep with their head on the table. That's overflow. Overflow doesn't always look like a screaming meltdown, right? So when parents come to me in crisis, it's because nothing is progressing. So we pause that and we look at why isn't it progressing? And how can we help the child shift so they can then go back to the classroom, the therapy sessions, grandma's house, whatever, and make some real meaningful progress. Because when you pause and address what is underlying everything and you support the child to empty their cup, then they can show you what they're capable of. And when they show you what they're capable of, you understand very clearly what they need, which is the zone where you can provide targeted support and therapy. And that's when children zoom through their therapy. It's really, it's magical. So this is why I use Maslow's hierarchy of needs to show parents what is happening when their child with autism is struggling. Okay. So Maslow said that when all children are born, they start at the bottom of a triangle and they develop by moving up through the triangle. The thing is that the triangle has levels, and you cannot move up through the triangle to a higher level until you've mastered the one below it. So here are the levels. There's survival, security, social, self-esteem, and self-actualization. So the journey of a typical child, typically developing child, really, is that they're born down here and they move into survival. When they are hungry, hot, cold, tired, whatever they need, they cry and an adult comes to help them. This happens until they become like toddlers, where they can start to solve their own problems, even a little bit older than toddlers. But they they do this until they can start to manage some things on their own, right? So they master sleeping and they can sit at the table and eat and they can solve their own basic problems and they can use the bathroom. Um, and if someone says no, they can cope, right? So when that happens and they master that level, they move up to this level of security. So they can move away from those people who helped them when they cry when they were really little, and they can feel a sense of security in themselves that they can manage when they're away from those people. So this is where they can go to daycare and they can use the toilet or eat lunch or sleep over at grandma's or go to kindergarten, share the toy, wait their turn for a slide, walk in line, cope when the fire alarm goes off or gym gets canceled, all that stuff. So then when they move away from the people who help them when they cry and they feel secure, they then find themselves capable of having social relationships. When you have social relationships that are ongoing, you see yourself as different from other people and you develop a really healthy self-esteem. And then when that happens, you can become a self-actualized person who contributes to society. Now, that's in a nutshell the
Mhm.
development of a child. So, what I see with children with autism who struggle is that they never really stop the crying. And I put it in air quotes because not all children with autism cry. But what I mean by that is they never stop looking outside of themselves for other people or things to solve their problems. They're actually stuck here. This is where eating, sleeping, self-help and independence, coping and behavior, and toileting live. What I see with children with autism who struggle is that these five things are managed. They look to other people or things to solve the problems of their five basic needs. They may wear a pull-up. They may wear a diaper. They may need cues to use the bathroom or someone in the bathroom to help. They may have a sleep routine that is required or medications or sleeping with someone else, or maybe they have safe foods and they eat in front of the TV. Maybe they are regulated by someone else if they are about to have a meltdown. There's all kinds of ways that children who are stuck in the bottom of the triangle are managed. And none of these things are meant to blame. These are things that people who love their children are doing because they want their child to cope and get through the day.
Hmm.
But truthfully, those things are keeping them stuck in the bottom of the triangle. So when you have a child who's stuck and they start to grow physically, they also start to find themselves in other areas of life that are up the triangle, like school and therapy and grandma's house and daycare. So they are going there because of their age, but they get there stuck and they lack this right here, the security to be able to look inward to solve the problems of their basic needs. When there is a gap like this here, progress stalls. Not all children with autism are stuck. But if
Right.
you have a child who is stuck, or you have a child in front of you as an educator or a therapist who is not progressing, I think we need to look at why their cup never empties. And their
Hmm.
cup never empties because they're stuck. Security empties the cup. When your
And
cup,
Erin,
hmm,
oh, sorry, I was just going to say, Erin, just to clarify, in those five domains of survival, you're saying that really they all need to be met. Like, even if a
yeah.
child might be okay with a few, but if a few are still in survival mode, you're saying,
And what I find is that all five usually aren't met, even though
okay,
parents think they are. They may say, "Oh, they're toileted," but they still wear a pull-up at night, or they need
I
prompting to
see.
use the bathroom, or they need help with wiping, and they're 6, 8, whatever the age is.
Okay.
Um, what I see here is that we as a society look at those five basic needs when they're not mastered and the child is older, we look at them all as problems, individual problems. So parents go out and try and fix toileting, fix sleeping, fix eating, fix behavior, and fix independence. And they're not actually problems. I think they're symptoms of a lack of self-regulation. So you need self-regulation to fall asleep on your own and stay asleep.
Hmm.
You need self-regulation to sit and eat at a table and nourish yourself with a variety of foods. You need self-regulation to follow through on a toileting routine by yourself. You need self-regulation to cope when someone says no. And you need self-regulation to follow an age-appropriate routine, which is, sitting with a therapist and doing your therapy so that it can translate home and be successful. But really, what I think is that's getting in the way is not that they can't do those things, it's why they can't do those things.
Mm.
And that's a lack of self-regulation. A lack of self-regulation keeps a child from engaging in therapy and learning. So if a child is struggling, I am saying we all need to work together to shift and look in a different direction. Just pause. Pause what you're doing. Look at why your child's cup is full. Address that, and then go back with really targeted goals and a real understanding of what your child needs. Because when that happens, it's beautiful.
Right. It's a real different way of looking at things, right? We're not
It is.
often thinking that way. We go to our little isolated silo programs or therapies or support. So, yeah, it's really different.
Yeah, and I think it's really important too for people to understand that I am not anti-therapy at
Right.
all. I think that for children who struggle, who have autism, I just think we have it backwards, like a sequencing problem. Like they need to address this first.
Hmm.
Then therapy is, they're like rock stars at therapy,
Right.
right? And for the children who don't struggle, awesome. Therapy's
Right.
amazing.
Yes. Right.
Right? Right? But
Yeah.
I am talking about those children who are sitting in front of you as educators, as therapists, even as parents, and you're saying they're stuck. I know they can do this. They're capable. They're these loving, kind kids who can't can do it, but don't.
Yeah.
That's where we need to look at the cup.
Okay.
So those are the people that I'm speaking to.
That you're helping, right?
Yeah, and
Some,
those are the people that I can help.
yeah, yeah. That's some really awesome food for thought. I hope, this little intro reaches some families. And Aaron, if this resonates with them and they're thinking like, yeah, this sounds like something I'd like more information about, they would go to your website, or what would you
Yes,
recommend? Yeah.
yes. Go to my website. It's called the Guided Autism Program, and everything is there, including a little button to book a call, and it's free. Talk to me because I have services that range from free all the way to I'll come and live with you. So
Um,
just book a call.
okay.
I talk to everyone.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Again, we know that maybe this isn't for everybody, and we want parents to explore whatever feels right for them. So if this does feel right, then there you go.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's how I address those calls too. Like, this is what I do. Let's
Hmm.
figure out what a good next step is for you because it's not always me,
Right.
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Well, thanks. Thanks, Erin. Thanks for your time, and thanks for sharing a little bit about what you do. And yeah, like I said, hopefully this reaches a family that needs to be reached. So yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for
Thanks,
your
Heather.
time. Okay. Thanks, Erin.
Bye.